Hi guys, it's Jess, welcome back to my channel. Today I thought I'd do a video about my top 5 authors that made me. So authors that I feel fondly about from my childhood, ones that got me into reading. My first one is probably easy to guess, especially if you grew up in Britain, and that is Jacqueline Wilson. I think she was really important in getting so many children into reading in the UK. Her books are so relatable, yet they bring in so many different issues within the UK, such as divorce, poverty, death, which sounds really dark when they're on their own, but is really educational and really helped open my eyes to a lot of issues, and also helped to normalise feelings that I had been feeling. I don't actually have any of her books to show right now because I gave them all away. Actually, no, that's not true. I found one here, one of the ones that I kept. I gave my whole children's collection away to my mum's primary school where she works because they're getting a new library, and I decided to donate all of my pristine books because I know I'm never going to read them, and I was just holding on to them and they were taking up space. I kept the ones that weren't appropriate for children under the age of 10. This one that I've got here is Love Lessons. This is definitely not appropriate for children, if you know what this is about. This is about a girl called Prue who goes to school for the first time in her life, and she's like 14 or something, and ends up falling in love with her art teacher, and he falls in love back with her, which is weird and kind of eradicates everything else that I said just now about it being educational and good for children. But this was in fact a teen book, and I don't really know why she wrote this because it's a bit dodge, but I think if I remember rightly, my favourite book of hers was Midnight, which I read in year 5, and I found it on the bookshelf when I was perusing looking for a new book to read, and I have fond memories of it even if I can't remember what it's about. So next on my list is Holly Webb. She's not the most popular ever, like I know a lot of people probably haven't heard of her. However, for me, she was one of those authors that I always used to take her books out in bulk from the library when I was younger, and they'd just always be there. They were about little animals who got adopted and ones who were lost, like a lost kitten I remember I had. That's one that my mum bought me, I remember that. But the series I'm thinking about is the Rose series. This is the Rose series, so we have I hate myself. We have Rose, Rose and the Lost Princess, Rose and the Magician's Mask, and Rose and the Silver Ghost. So this series follows a girl called Rose, if you haven't guessed, and she starts off as an orphan. She gets sent off to live at Mr. Fountain's grand residence, and essentially she doesn't know who her parents are, but she knows that she has some kind of magical power, that she can conjure up images and things like that. Turns out Mr. Fountain is a magician. Rose gets taken on as an apprentice, and the whole series just kind of follows her escapades with the other children of the house and the talking cat. So yeah, one day I really want to reread these. These actually get quite dark as well. It says on the back 9+, and I remember I read them when I was 13 and I thought, wow, I can't believe this says 9+ on the back, because I don't think I was ready for this. Next on my list is Sophie Mackenzie. I read her when I was more of a teenager rather than a child, so I would say maybe 14 upwards. It all started with this book here, 6 Steps to a Girl by Sophie Mackenzie, and this was free in a girly magazine at the time, and there are 3 books in this series, and my friends and I between us all bought the magazine, so we swapped the books between us, so we all managed to read it. I think this is one of the first book series ever where I encountered the actual act of sex. This series is pretty self-explanatory, 6 Steps to a Girl. The main character called Luke gets told by a guy called Ryan that there are 6 steps on how to get a girl. He tries to follow them and then he finds out that it's a ruse. But he does end up getting the girl. Next series is the Blood Ties series by Sophie Mackenzie. So Blood Ties is a series about a girl called Rachel and a guy called Theo, and they both find out that they're tangled up in some scheme to do with cloning, and they find each other and they fall in love. And this is the Medusa Project series, which is my best friend and I's favourite Sophie Mackenzie series. The Setup, Hostage, The Rescue, Hunted, Double Cross, and Hit Squad. So this follows a group of teenagers who carry a gene called the Medusa gene. Nico, whose point of view this book is from, Ketty, whose point of view this book is from, and so on, Ed and Dylan. And then eventually there are more people who have the gene. So the Medusa gene mutates or whatever, gives them cool powers. So Nico has telekinesis, Ketty can tell the future, Ed has telepathy, and Dylan is invincible. Basically, it's just done in a really realistic way. So no like superhero shit, it's just like they work with the government, and it's so good. I really want to reread this. Next is Enid Blyton, and she's not a very contemporary author. I really got into them because it was one of my mum's favourite authors when she was younger, so she made me read, and she read to me as bedtime stories and things like that. The Famous Five, recently got rid of my collection of Amelia Jane stories, and also The Secret Seven, The Island. I just loved all of those. I almost want to read them again, but I know that it won't be the same. Like a couple of years ago I read a Mallory Towers book and I did enjoy it, but I felt like I wasn't able to give it a star rating, because how do you rate a children's book when you're not a child? Really, when I think of her, it just makes me feel really nostalgic. And also I'm really happy that I got into her because... And lastly, number 5 is Stephanie Meyer, who I don't even need to really give an explanation for, but this is the first book by her that I read, Twilight. I do own The Host, but I've never read it, and I don't own any of the rest of the series of this because I got them all out from the library and I know that I don't need them now. If I did want to find them, I could find them all in a charity shop, because there's at least 5 copies of every book in a charity shop. Twilight, obviously very important in my formative reading years. At first I tried to fight it. My best friend had a tote bag with Rob Pattinson's face on it, I remember, and I was like, ew, vampires. I remember saying that, and I was like, ew, werewolves and all of this. But eventually I did read this and I became as obsessed with it as everyone else was, and I was Team Edward if you're interested, although now I am more into werewolves. I would like to do a reread of this and maybe annotate a copy or whatever, because a lot of people now say that the relationship was toxic. I'd like to reread it to see for myself and kind of laugh at how much I swooned over this when I was a young teenager. That's it for today's video. Let me know if you like this. I haven't had much feedback from my other videos, but I don't mind. I'm still a bit self-conscious, and at the moment I'm enjoying filming more than editing. I don't like staring at my own face, it makes me hate it even more. Subscribe and stay tuned for more videos if you like them.